Hello, and welcome to the From the Top interview series. I'm your host, Mike Martin, and I'm joined today by Lance Bachmann, founder of LB Capital. Lance, thanks for joining us today.
Hey Mike, how you doing, man? Nice to see you.
Yeah, great. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on. Maybe you could just do a quick introduction for yourself and your business.
yeah, I'm Lance Bachmann. I'm founder of LB Capital. We have several brands under our organization, all thriving, growing companies. I've now sold four companies, private equity groups, from HVAC to roofing to digital marketing. And we partner with companies that are looking to scale and grow their companies to private equity groups.
Awesome. Maybe you could tell me just a little bit from more of a historical perspective, how you kind of got to that point. What's the journey been with LB Capital?
I mean, truthfully, I just kind of fell into it. I've been a digital marketer my whole entire life. One of my clients asked me to partner. We grew that, sold that. Another one of my clients asked me to partner, grew that, sold that. And I was like, okay, well, there's more money in growing and selling companies than just running a company day to day. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I sold one SEO.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
hard for these private equity guys to find good companies that have good culture, good salespeople, good management, good systems and processes. It's very hard for them to find.
Yeah. So do you kind of act as a bridge there to help find those, or what's the role there?
I mean, people ask me every day to be their partner. I can't even get back to them because I don't have a vetting staff. I don't have any of that. I mean, I'll show you my office if you like, but um, you know, between all my companies, we have a few hundred employees, but for LB Capital themselves, I think we might have 7, 8 employees. So we're not
Mhm.
like heavily, I'm not worried about grabbing 10, 20, 30 companies a year like private equity firms or 50. I'm happy with truthfully just getting, a few good people underneath LB Capital, help them punch their ticket to become multimillionaires and grow their company. I mean, it's a very different model. I'm the only
Yeah,
person I know even with that model.
yeah. No, it's very interesting, and it sounds like you've had a ton of success with it. Any thoughts or philosophy overarching that you have in general about taking a business, growing it to the point where you can exit?
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple, right? I use the old saying, monkey see, monkey do, right? Like I never created anything, I've never invented anything. So everything I've learned is by me just watching, observing, robbing, and duplicating. When I say robbing, I mean I just literally duplicate what I see and I add my spin to it. Um, I think for you to grow a business, you got to be authentic. I think you got to be true to yourself. I think we live in a generation of all this fucking bullshit on social media. People saying, "Oh, if you just love people and you love this and you love that," well, bullshit. Since the beginning of time, people have been slaughtering people and killing people, and the weak die and the strong survive. And business is the same thing. So when I see a guy up on stage hooting and hollering all this bullshit, yes, it's you made it now. I'm 50 years old and I'm not, I'm not saying this arrogantly, but I never have to work again in my lifetime. Yeah, of course I'm a lot calmer now. Of course I'm not no
Sure.
clinging for dear life, and that blood pressure's up every day, and you're riding the roller coaster, and it's different, right? Then once you make it, it's easy to say all these things, you know. So I think there's levels to the business, right?
Yeah.
And I always say this to people. I think when you're taking a company from a few million to 20 million and exiting is a lot different than taking a company from 20 million to 100 million, right? There's
Mm.
levels. And
Yeah.
so you really got to know what your vision and what your goal is and how far you're willing to go. Because every time you push the needle to go further, you got to develop more and keep growing more. And some people want to and some people don't. So it's really, I meet people all the time and, they're like, oh, we've been doing a million or 2 million or 3 million for the last 20 years. I'm like, well, what's going to change this year? And they're like, oh, well, this, but there's really nothing. They're going to
Right.
do the same old, same old.
Yeah. Yeah, I encounter that too in people I talk to. They're like, I feel like I'm stuck. I'm just doing this plateaued, and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I love what you said there too about sort of, when you said robbing, really you're kind of looking at what works and duplicating it with your own spin, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just why, I mean, no offense. I mean, the things I'm doing, marketing, right? I don't do marketing anymore, but when I went into marketing, for the last 30 years, I just watched what worked in marketing and duplicated it, right? So my agency is one of the biggest agencies around. Before I sold it, it was one of the best ones in the country, still one of the best ones in the country. My HVAC company, I just went and looked at other HVAC companies. I saw what they were doing and I implemented what they were doing, and it's skyrocketed. Roofing, same thing. I've never sold these products or services,
Right.
or did them. So I mean, I think if you're willing to eat your own ego, a lot of people, and you're willing not, because a
Yeah.
lot of people, when they have success, you want to be like, it's me, 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 me. I have the opposite approach. I surround myself with great people. Um, I know who I am. I know what I am. I'm a hard man. I'm a demanding man, and I expect results. Um,
Hmm.
but I surround myself with great people, and the great people are going to do and rise to the occasion and take you to where you got to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. It's there are rules, I guess, use the word rules, but there are laws, like laws of physics, there are laws of business. And so, if you can get a handle on those, and like you said, it's about finding what works and replicating it. Absolutely love that. Um, any and you talked about sort of your approach and being demanding, and I think there's we find that a lot in success. You have to have a certain standard and drive in what you're doing. Any personal rituals or habits or a point of view that kind of helps drive that, like, behind your drive, the motivation, just anything there that you found is kind of beneficial that maybe another entrepreneur could benefit from.
I mean, I always say discipline. You have to be disciplined. I mean, you know, I'm disciplined, very disciplined in my way of life. Um, I wasn't so disciplined when I was younger.
Hmm.
I'm very disciplined now. And people are like, well, you're boring. I might be boring, but know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Boring has success, right? Like it just does. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I love Tom Brady, but when Tom Brady was playing football, no one saw Tom Brady. Yeah, he was boring, he didn't drink, but look at his success, right? And he paid his due, and now he's getting his due. I paid my due, now I'm getting my due. And
Hmm.
I just think, if you can be disciplined, um, and be hungrier than everyone else, and fuck what anyone thinks. And I really mean that. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks of me. Like, you know, and if you do those simple things, you're just going to be successful. Like you got to be to go from nothing to something. You got to be so obsessed and so much crazier than the other people around you that you can't even care what they think because they can't understand you even if they were with you 24/7. If they were with you 24/7, they'd probably wind up hating you because
Yeah.
you like them. That's not being rude. I mean, I used to have an old partner of mine, and I love the guy. He'd be like, "Well, I want to pick my kids up at the bus stop and drop them off." And at that point in time in my career, I never dropped my kids off once at the school or picked them up, right? Unless my wife had an emergency or something. Like, never, right? And it was just a mindset of, he wasn't wrong, but I wasn't wrong. And then eventually what happened was our visions went differently because he wanted this in his life, which is right, and I wanted this for my life. And I knew on the trajectory where I was going, if I just kept sacrificing, I'd get there. And about 3 years later, it all just hit pay dirt for me.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
very different.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think there's that um, you know, internal drive that some people have, and you kind of go with it. And it's all what we value, it's all where you kind of,
Yeah,
uh,
there's no right or wrong. Like I tell people
yeah,
this all the time. Some people don't want to own their own business. I don't understand it, but I'm all about it. And I say to them, if you don't want to own your own business, I'm going to give you a home here. We're gonna have great health and benefits, 401k. You're gonna have a clean vehicle. You're gonna have a good culture. We're gonna take care of you. Good pay. I want you to be able to buy a house. I want you to be able to go on a few vacations a year. So I get that some people don't want the stress. Not everybody wants to carry the
right.
rock and
Yes,
in football, and that's the truth. And people are like, no, everybody wants to be the quarterback. That is not true. I
right.
coach youth sports all the time, and I see kids that don't want to carry the rock. They don't want. It takes a unique child to say, I want that pressure. And the same thing for owning a business.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And like you said, there's nothing wrong with either or. It's just what your personality is, what your drive is, and where you're going to, what your goals are. Some people just want to have a very simple job, and know it's ritual and it's regimented, and they're going to do the same thing. It's very stable. Other people like to, swing for the fences.
Pressure's a privilege. I say that to people all the time. I was just taking an ice bath with a guy the other day, and we jumped down. He's like, "Oh my God, it's freezing." I was like, "Freezing's a privilege." I said, "Think about how many people died today that will never freeze again."
Right.
Like pressure's a privilege. Like people don't realize that a lot of things we take for granted day to day. I don't. I,
Yeah.
I look at it very differently. I'm a very blessed, grateful man. I thank God every day and thank my family.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I think that is a very critical thing that I often think about myself. It's what you focus on. You could look at it and say, "Oh, I'm just freezing right now," or you could look at it and go, "I'm experiencing. I'm still alive. I'm having this experience." Um, Huge. I totally agree with that. So maybe kind of go back to just to kind of maybe ask you a marketing question, because I like to ask about, the when I'm interviewing a technology firm, how they stay on top of technology. Any either thoughts on your approach to marketing, what you think are some of the good things that work in marketing, or again, advice to other businesses around marketing?
I think a lot of people are afraid to spend money on marketing because they don't know how to track. I don't think they understand everything's tracked now. Everything's
Mhm.
tracked now. So, I spend anywhere between last month, we only spent 6% in one of my companies and 5% in another one. But I like to be at that 10 to 15% every month. That's why my companies have high rapid growth. So that's number one. I'd like to spend money on marketing. I'm a marketing pig.
Mhm.
I love it. Number two, you got to study marketing. People don't understand it's not just so easy. And I don't listen to anyone. When people, I get involved in the weeds. I look at what our average cost per lead is. I look what the average cost per lead to revenue is. I want to know what leads are giving me the best revenue spend, right? Close.
Mhm.
I look at all these things that go further into the weeds on marketing because I love marketing. Um, you know, I think, a lot of people, even I use one SEO, it makes sense. Like I think a lot of people don't they think they can do it in-house, they can hire some young kid, and it just doesn't work that way. You need to have a professional run your marketing department. If you don't have a professional, go get a professional right away, no matter who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that point you made about metrics and, looking at the details is so important, in certainly in marketing, but in all aspects of business. If you don't know your critical numbers and you're not watching them and adjusting on a regular basis, I think you're really missing out. You
You have
got to
no
look.
shot at being successful. If you don't know, like I know every morning how many leads we're running or sales appointments for every single company. I know our average close rate is. I know our average ticket is. So I know what each company should do in sales that day. And we
Yeah,
force it out.
exactly. Yeah. And I always say I love data, logic, and science. Give me that, and then we know what we're doing because it's based in reality, right? It's not a gut feel. It's not a I wish, right?
I was never
Um,
a science guy. I don't think I'm smart enough for science, but the first thing I was.
yeah, but I mean,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, when
Um,
someone says to me how I feel, how they feel, I say no offense. If I don't take my own feelings into consideration and I do what I have to do, why the fuck should I care about how you feel? I mean, that's
right,
not being rude. It's like just really think about that. I take like besides my wife and my children in certain instances, but I'm saying overall, people be like, well, I feel this. I'm like, well, no offense. There's days I don't feel like doing it and I still do it. So
right,
if I can't take my own feelings into consideration, no offense, I'm not taking yours.
right. Yeah, yours are going to be higher priority than theirs, and if you're right, exactly, exactly. But yeah, I definitely believe you got to be based in reality, not on a wish.
No doubt.
So maybe just anything in terms of what's coming up, for any one of your companies or, overarching, what are you looking forward to that's coming up for you?
I mean, I look forward to growing, right? We're growing, we're getting great people. I look forward to winning. I think if you win, the rest falls in line. I don't look at numbers and money like people think it's not about the money. The money will come if you compete well. And I always say it to people like when you're a competitor, no matter what you're doing, if you compete at golf, you're going to probably make money. If you compete at sales, you're probably going to make money. If you compete at growing businesses, you're probably going to make money. If you compete at racing cars, you're probably going to make money. No matter what it is, if you want to compete, right? I always say this to people. people will say he's a gambling addict, right? If he goes down and plays poker. I don't play poker, but I'm just there saying if I were to play poker, I'd be in a casino every day during the day, 8 to 5, not drinking, and I'd be competing, and that'd be my living, right? But I'd be so disappointed I didn't have alcohol, right? And I'd go there from 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 or whatever my hours may be, and I'd be competing. I'd teach myself the high level competition to game.
Right.
And I think it's no different than business. I look to compete every day, and that's what's next for me. I'm constantly mastering my craft. I bring a head coach in, a business coach, mind coach, whatever you want to call him, twice a year for 10 days. I use him to reset my mind. I'm looking for another business coach full time to have weekly calls with. Right now, I'm screening people, and I just think that's what you have to do if you're going to be successful, and that's what I look forward to is the wins, growing companies winning. And I think if you look forward to that, the rest falls in place.
Yeah, I love that. I think, I talk about with my clients, it's about executing. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at with the competing. It's not so much about just being obsessed with the result and only thinking about the result. Because if you do that, your eyes on the horizon and you're not looking at the path to get there. It's about every day being consistent, getting after the things you need to do. And the other point that you made, which I love, is it's about studying, whatever it is. Like you said, poker, study the rules, figure out what it takes to be successful. How do you implement and how do you consistently do those things to get better and better? And then the results, they will happen because you're doing the right things.
The results come.
Yeah.
Listen, if you work at anything hard enough and smart enough, you're going to be successful. Most people quit before they're just ready to score their first touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you don't know, right, if you're in there and you're good at the process, you will figure out how to be successful through the effort. Oh, we need to pivot. We need to do a different thing. Okay, what works? Oh, let's do that thing then.
Sure.
Absolutely. So this is a question I ask, in all these interviews. I'll throw it out to you. You can kind of take it however you like. But if you had a magic wand and you could wave it over one area of the business to get any outcome you would like, what would that be for you?
Sales. I have
Yeah,
the best salespeople. I think you're a sales and marketing company. I think if you have the best salespeople out there, the rest will fall in line. No offense, you can always find roofers, HVAC technicians. You can always go find admins, CFOs, processes, salespeople that can communicate well, give a 5-star pledge, take care of their customers, and anything you do, whether it be digital marketing, Shock IT, any of my organizations, Titan Pro. I think salespeople, define a consistent, great, good salespeople and sales leaders. I'd have a magic wand. I would just want a stable of them.
yeah. Just the ability to always get a winning salesperson every time.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. That's a great answer. So as we're kind of just closing out here, what any advice you might give either aspiring entrepreneur or somebody who wants to take their business to the next level? What would you say as a piece of advice?
Me, let it rip. Have fun. What's the worst going to happen? You can always go work for someone. And I said to everyone, people are like, you just say it's so cavalier, you made it. No, when I started out, that was my attitude. There was no backup. Well, I can go do this. There was no, maybe I can go do this. I'm going to let it rip and the chips lay where they lay. And know what? If it doesn't work out, I always go work for someone.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. I find a lot of the folks that I talk with on this podcast, that is a very common theme. It's about going for it. It's about taking that initiative and whether it be a leap of faith or whatever you want to call it, it's like go for it, like you said. Don't let fear get in your way.
Oh, it's amazing to me how many people will come to me and be like, "Well, I'm thinking about doing this or that." I'm like, "Just do it." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "I can't. I got my rent. You'll make your rent. You'll figure it out." But as
Right.
long as you keep thinking like that, you're never going to go attack the day. And if you're focused, if you're thinking about this, if you're that focused, right, at what you're going to do and achieve, I'm not saying don't be reckless. If you're making $1.5 million, $400,000 a year, you don't just quit tomorrow with no money. If you have kids, you save enough money, you pull back on your life. Here's a true story. My friend Kevin Javelin sold his company. I don't want to say how much for, literally 9 figures though, right? And when he told his wife, who's making good money, he was a salesperson, said, "I'm going to go start my flooring company." They had to get rid of their Mercedes and they had to downgrade all their cars and like everything, right?
Right.
11 years later, he sold for nine figures. Was he crazy? Or did he say, I'm gonna go pay my due, get my due? And now he's flying private jets everywhere. And I could be proud of him. I love the guy, right?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. But everybody's so worried about other people think instead of saying, let me just downsize and let it rip.
Yeah. And right. Sometimes you might have to make adjustments to make it work. You got to downsize, you got to do whatever. As long as you have a good plan and you execute it, go for it.
No doubt.
Love it. Well, Lance, just thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. Great stuff there. I love everything you're saying. Just thanks a lot for being here.
No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you have a great day.
Yeah. And to everybody listening, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.